Welcome back to Disturbed Reality. Living in a so-called first world country like the UK and growing up in a working class environment, the burden of low expectations weighed heavy upon my shoulders in my youth. As a result, I carried a large chip on my shoulder and ultimately ended up spending a couple of years heading nowhere fast and getting involved with all the wrong types of people. Fortunately, I saw the errors of my ways before it was too late, and before I ended up in serious trouble. Though the prospect of easy money to a broke kid is far too tempting, even if it may be against the law. I fully understand how a young man can be swayed. Though the reality is, growing up poor in a country such as the UK would be seen as luxury to many across the world. Growing up poor in Latin America in particular comes with a whole new level of poverty and desperation, leaving many young men with a choice between honest work that barely pays to look after yourself, let alone a family, or earning money within the criminal underworld, which, although extremely risky, and very often low paid in itself, comes with the slim possibility of rising through the ranks and becoming a somebody, much like El Chapo and Elemencho did before them. It is heartbreaking to see how poverty can push young men towards crime. They are often born into difficult circumstances where basic necessities like food, shelter, and education are scarce. With few opportunities for legitimate employment and no hope for a better future, it's no wonder that some young men turn to crime as a means of survival. It's easy to judge and label them as criminals, but we must understand the underlying reasons for their actions. These young men often feel hopeless and desperate, with little support from their communities or the governments. They may lack positive role models or guidance, and the allure of quick money and power can be too tempting to resist. As they get sucked deeper into the criminal underworld, their actions become increasingly self-destructive, dangerous, and violent. They may become involved in gangs or drug trafficking, putting their lives and the lives of others at risk. The consequences of their actions are often severe, leading to imprisonment, injury, or even a brutal demise. We cannot ignore the root causes of crime are young poor men. We must provide them with better opportunities and support to break the cycle of poverty and violence. It's time to invest in education, job training, and community development programs to give them a chance at a brighter future. Not only that, sometimes somebody just needs encouragement. Many young poor men will spend their entire youths without ever receiving an ounce of encouragement or support from anyone. Combining this with mainstream talking heads and blue-haired Twitter freaks telling them that there is something wrong with their masculinity only blurs the lines further. I believe we as a society are teaching a generation of young men to hate themselves, and when that is combined with a deprived background without any idea of where they are heading in life, it's hardly surprising that they end up choosing a life of nihilism, hedonism, and the pursuit of easy money by any means necessary. The only solution is old school values, mental fortitude, stoicism, and a never say die attitude, combined with education and real opportunities to thrive. I know as well as anyone, the road to nowhere is bleak, scary, lonely, and frightening. Though, if you persist long enough, you may stumble upon your desired destination, even if you do not know what that destination is during your journey. Ultimately, you must stay strong, righteous, and proper in your pursuit of happiness. Do not compromise your values in order for a quick buck. If you persist, you shall prevail. The truth is, however, many young men are diverted down a path of chaos, destruction, and depravity, which is disguised with the hopes of money, power, status, and respect. Many young men in Mexico face this heartbreaking problem, as seen with the so-called war on drugs and the rise of prominent drug cartels. Organizations such as Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generacion and Cartel de Sinaloa, among countless others, will prey on such men and young boys, spotting their insecurities and desperation a mile away, before promising them a better life filled with adventure, money, brotherhood, and the likes. Though it rarely works out this way. Usually, you end up on the slab or in a cell. In recent weeks, cartel violence has spiked across Mexico, most notably in Tamaulipas, where Grupo Escorpion, who are a faction of Cartel del Golfo, have been battling with Los Zetas Vieja Escuela across the state, which has resulted in numerous casualties. The Scorpion Group's war with the old school Zetas stems from a truce in which Grupo Escorpion made with their long-term rivals Los Metros, another Gulf Cartel faction. The two factions had been at odds for years, though they called a truce in 2021, which stopped the violence between the two groups. Though, recently, Los Metros formed alliances with both CJNG and the old school Zetas, which, naturally, upset the Scorpion Group. The Scorpion Group would respond by forming their own alliance with Cartel del Noreste. Grupo Escorpion would then target old school Zeta members in Tamaulipas in an attempted show of defiance and resolve. So far, the Scorpion Group have been getting the better of the old school Zetas in a big way, as highlighted by several videos that have been recently released. In one video, an old school Zeta member can be seen being burned alive by Scorpion Group members, as covered on a recent video on the channel. Another video showcases Grupo Escorpion members questioning men presumably captured after a gunfight in the state of Tamaulipas. The video is essentially a cartel propaganda piece. The video shows Grupo Escorpion members questioning alleged cartel members. Some of the captured men admit that they work for the old school Zetas, whereas others say they work for Los Metros. The men in the video had previously been injured, though they are wearing medical dressings such as bandages. This is to purport the image that Grupo Escorpion are different to the other groups in the area, and that they are not as violent as their rivals. However, the timing of the propaganda piece is quite poor, considering only days prior, they released a video of them burning a man alive. It's unclear as to what happened to the captured men in the video, though they have not been seen since and are likely dead. The future of Tamaulipas is precarious to say the least, with violence in the area looking likely to increase due to the sheer amount of criminal groups vying for control in the area. Matters will only be worse if CJNG decide to up the ante and send gunmen to the area to support Los Metros and the old school Zetas. If that does happen, expect an all-out war zone with much gruesome footage surfacing from the conflicts. CJNG are not the only organisation trying to expand their criminal empire as of right now. In recent days, news emerged that La Nueva Familia Michoacana are also looking to acquire new territory and expand their horizons. La Nueva Familia, who emerged from the ashes of the original La Familia Michoacana cartel, are one of the so-called new generation cartels in Mexico and are quickly gaining notoriety due to their extremely violent nature. In recent weeks, they have released several graphic videos showcasing their depraved escapades. Several online also claim that La Neuva, aside from drug trafficking, also have been interfering with the general public, who are just looking to get by. It's said that they are heavily involved in extortion, especially in their home state of Michoacán. Usually, they will target local small business owners, from taco stands to small shops, and they will take a monthly payment under the guise of protection. It's essentially a tax which is enforced by intimidation and violence. Those who do not pay or resist are punished. On a first offence, the local will usually be beaten and threatened, though if they continue to disobey, well, you know the story. A subscriber with family in Michoacán also claimed in an email that La Neuva will also target regular citizens for the sheer fun of it, with her reporting that women especially are targeted by the group and are forced to get with certain cartel members and are very often raped. Ultimately, they are developing a similar reputation to Los Viagras as being one of the most sadistic cartels around. A cartel in which they are allied with in the Michoacán and the broader Tierra Caliente region, which also spans across the states of Guerrero and Mexico State. La Nueva Familia Michoacana also now have presence in both Guerrero and Mexico State. Guerrero, once known for its world-renowned tourist hotspots of Acapulco, has descended into pure violence in recent years. To make matters worse, numerous criminal actors currently operate in the state, such as La Nueva and Los Viagras, as well as CJNG, Guerreros Unidos, Los Tlacos, and a whole host of others. The sheer number of organisations in the area vying for power and control is a surefire recipe for extreme violence. Guerrero has turned into one of the key states in the drug wars. It has turned into arguably the capital of heroin production in Mexico, with numerous labs, primarily in the countryside, dotted across the state. Very often, sicarios belonging to various cartel groups will set up camps in the mountains of Guerrero, essentially acting as lookouts and guards for nearby heroin production labs. It's a full-time job, and if they are caught slipping, it may mean that they don't live to see another day. In recent days, one video surfaced from the Sierra Madre del Sur mountain range in Guerrero, where suspected members of La Nueva Familia Michoacana were murdered by Los Tlacos sicarios. Los Tlacos, also known as Cartel de la Sierra, are said to be allied to CJNG in Guerrero State. The video showcases the aftermath of an ambush on a La Nueva Familia makeshift lookout camp. The video shows two dead men laying in a man-made trench, with tarp acting as a tent. The two men occupied the position as a lookout over the mountain, aiming to spot any potential rival sicarios, though it is said that they were caught slipping and were ambushed as they were sleeping. It appears that the two men were shot. As you play the video, you see the sunrise over the Sierra Madre del Sur mountain range, indicating that the video took place during the early hours of the morning. Both of the dead men lay in the trench, as a Los Tlacos sicario takes a combat knife and beheads one of the deceased victims. He slices around the victim's neck and then chops with a knife to cut through the spinal cords. After a few cracking chops with a knife, the victim is beheaded in double quick time. The Sicario then carries the head out of the trench and looks over the mountain range as he cusses out the ops. He screams, "Your world's just gone to shit, you dogs. This here is for you f***outs Pez and Freza." Pez and Freza being Johnny Hurtado Olascoaga and Alfredo Hurtado Olascoaga, who are the leaders of La Neuva. The Sicarios seem to be having fun, though one warns, "Guys, make sure you don't get shot from anyone down below," while another replies, send some more men up here, we are the absolute Tlacos." Though this wasn't the only graphic video involving La Neuva to be released in recent days. On the 10th of May, 2023, a gruesome clip was released to the internet, which showcases the execution of an alleged independent drug dealer. The video is believed to have been shot in and around Toluca, which is interesting, as according to my research, La Neuva have had little to no presence in the city until recently, so potentially they are looking to muscle in on the area. But nevertheless, what happens in the actual video? Upon watching the clip, my initial reaction was that the video harkens back to the old school Cartel videos. The vibes, setting, and the overall feel of a video reminded me of another Cartel execution clip, which was the murder of Manuel Mendez Leiva, which was believed to be the first narco beheading video. The video itself is 2 minutes and 18 seconds long, and the setting is that of an all-white tiled bathroom. You see the victim, who is an overweight male, and he has his shirt removed with his hands tied behind his back, as well as having his mouth gagged and his eyes blindfolded by duct tape. The Sicario is dressed in all black and is wearing a ski mask with sunglasses to protect his identity. He is carrying a butcher's knife. It looks to be some sort of meat cleaver. The Sicario then reads out a message, a warning to those in the area. He states, "The purge has begun against all the crystal meth dealers in the neighborhoods of Santiago, Tiangustenco, and Almoloya del Rio. It is prohibited to consume or sell crystal meth here. Julian Castro, I'm coming after your guys. This drug plaza has an owner. Yours truly, Familia Michoacana. I'm coming after you, pussies." A song can also be heard playing in the background throughout the entire video. The song is the 80s hit Call Me by Blondie, a distinctive catchy tune which weirdly adds to the eeriness of the video. After the Sicario reads out the statements, the brutality then ensues. This occurs at 20 seconds into the video. The Sicario seems to be rushing the statement, and he actually sounds nervous. It sounds like his voice breaks at the end of his statements. The way he carries himself indicates that this may be the first time that he's done this, or that he is new to it. The killer then places the blade of a meat cleaver on the victim's throat, and begins to slowly slice from left to right. The video gets extremely bloody almost immediately after the first slice. Blood pours incredibly quickly down the victim's chest and leaks onto the white tile floor. As the blood hits the tiles, the constant droplets sounds almost like a shower. Due to the white aesthetic of the room, it only serves to make the video appear even more bloody. Due to the gag in the victim's mouth, he cannot scream at all, but the sounds he does make are incredibly hard to listen to. It's hard to describe the sounds, but the aggressive gurgling of blood and gasps for air echo in the tiled bathroom. The sounds are incredibly violent. As the blood hits the floor and the victim gurgles and wheezes, it sounds the same as if somebody is being sick. He tries to struggle by moving side to side, but the razor-sharp meat cleaver has already penetrated his windpipe, which lessens his struggles as time goes on. Eventually, the victim ends up on his back. The blood loss and struggle for breath is slowly killing him. The aggressive gurgling wheezing sounds turn into a lighter snoring type sound. Some describe it as the death rattle. As the victim is on his back, the killer continues to slice the victim's throat around the neck. He appears to be struggling to get the right angle to cut, and appears flustered throughout the video. The victim's wheezing sounds turn less and less frequent as the killer continues to do his business. The dying man then makes a sound that is similar to that of somebody who is reaching and nearly vomiting. The poor victim then appears to stop breathing, and the killer then uses the cleaver and starts chopping with it. Due to the small proximity of the room, plus the wet tile floor, which is becoming increasingly slippy, the killer stops cutting up the victim for a moment and attempts to drag him closer to the centre of the bathroom to give him more room. However, he only ends up pulling down the victim's pants. Once he does this, the victim, who I'm assuming is dead at this point, or is very close to death, can be seen urinating himself. A common occurrence when somebody has died or is close to death. The Sicario then gives up trying to drag the victim and resumes to slicing at the victim's neck with the cleaver. He has no luck cutting through the spine, so he then lifts the victim's chin and starts to hack with the cleaver. You hear the heavy blade crunching and cutting through the bone. Once again, the sound echoes through the bathroom. Each strike progressively gets harder, to the point to where the blade hitting the spinal cord causes nerve spikes and then jolts the victim's legs, almost giving him the appearance that he has been reanimated. After a few hacks, the killer finally beheads the victim. He picks up the head and holds it up to the camera. The Sicario looks shattered and tired. He then states, "I'm coming after you pussies." His voice breaks again, and he pants due to the strenuously brutal activity that he has just engaged in. The final sight is that of a bloody bathroom, something akin to a Saw movie. The video then ends. It's certainly a very bloody video, and one in which I would recommend that you do not look for. It's actually one of the bloodiest cartel videos I've seen in quite some time, and it's the second video in recent weeks that La Neuva have released. Of course, not so long ago, they released a video where they gutted a rival who they captured prior. That video in itself is very traumatic due to the screams, etc. So these guys, La Nueva Familia Michoacana, are not playing around right now, and it appears that they are trying to expand, which of course is bad news because when a cartel does this, when they try to branch out, usually that just causes extreme violence in the areas in which they move to, fighting other cartels, things of that nature. So the next few weeks, the next few months, given what is going on in Tamaulipas, for example, with the Scorpion group of the Gulf Cartel really going to war right now, as well as La Nueva's apparent expansion plans in Michoacan, Guerrero, and Mexico State, things could get very bloody in the coming weeks and months. So don't be surprised if we see many new graphic videos released in the not too distant future. Very often what I've noticed with these cartel videos, there will be a whole batch released at once, and I wouldn't be surprised if we are heading into that direction in the next few weeks or so. I may be wrong though, hopefully I am wrong. And yeah, prayers out there to anybody living in the areas mentioned affected by such cartels. But anyway, that is the video. I hope you enjoyed it, if you can enjoy this sort of content. The start of this video was a little different, a more commentary style introduction than I usually do. Just something that I feel strongly about, you know. Just as a kid growing up with not many options, it's something I just hold dear to my heart. So yeah, let me know what you guys think on that sort of style commentary. But anyway, as always, thank you guys for the support. It is much appreciated. If you guys could follow me on Twitter, again, that would be amazing. As well as that, if you could follow me on Twitch, that would be even better. I would certainly appreciate it. But anyway, as always, stay safe. And I'll catch you on the next one.